This is my WWE Wrestlemania 25 review. Overall, I thought the WrestleMania was very good from start to finish. Saw some very good stuff. Some stuff that some of us wouldn't have thought would have been good, and it actually did deliver. The opening match was the Money in the Bank ladder match with CM Punk versus Mark Henry versus MVP versus Finlay versus Shelton Benjamin versus Kofi Kingston versus Christian versus Kane. And this was a good opener, a good way to start the show off with. Saw a lot of crazy, insane stuff in here, especially Shelton Benjamin. Shelton Benjamin did an insane dive outside the ring on probably like a 20 or 25-foot ladder onto about probably 3-4 people. That was a very good spot. Another good spot was Kofi Kingston. Mark Henry and him were in the ring. Mark Henry is pretty much holding up a ladder, and Kofi Kingston just ran up it and just very good. And then after that, Mark Henry called him, hit him with the Mark Henry slam. And Mark Henry actually didn't do too bad of a job in here, even though he was, some parts he might have been in here a little more than what he should have been, but he really didn't ruin the match like probably me and a lot of other people probably expected. You just saw some other good stuff. They did one spot where CM Punk and Christian, there was one ladder, then there was a ladder pretty much draped from that ladder to the ring ropes, the second rope, and Christian did the unprettier to CM Punk. That was pretty good. Didn't pretty much end up like it should have. It kind of looked a little sloppy, but still it was a pretty cool spot to see. And shockingly, at the end of this, they did a thing at the end where I was pretty much afraid that they would have maybe had Kane win this, but thankfully they didn't do it. They made it look like Kane was going to win this, but it ended with CM Punk and Kane on a ladder, and CM Punk wins the Money in the Bank for the second year in a row. Hopefully this time around they do a better job with CM Punk and give him a good, lengthy title run, or at least a good, worthy title run compared to the one he had last year. So that's a good start to WrestleMania right there. I would say about a 3 1/4 star match. Pretty good opener, and definitely a match that got the crowd into the show, especially some of the insane dives from, especially the insane dive from Shelton. Kofi did some good stuff. MVP did some decent stuff. Just, it was the type of match you would expect. It might have been a very spotty, but, I mean, that's what probably everyone expected it was going to be like anyway, very spotty, and it lived up to being what it should have been, kind of a spot fest ladder match. That's what, every ladder match pretty much has to be. You don't have to have, in-ring psychology or anything in like a ladder match for the most part, especially when you got 8 people in there. Then the next matchup was, well, before the next matchup, Kid Rock came out there, performed. That was a waste of about 10-15 minutes. And then when Kid Rock performed his last song, that's when all the divas for the 25 Diva Battle Royal came out there. And this was just a very, very, maybe a tad bit better than what it was going to be, the 25 Diva Battle Royal. But it wasn't really anything. It was very... In this match, they did one thing that probably a lot of people were hoping to see, and that's what Santino Marella being involved in here. And he was dressed in women's clothes. Obviously everyone expected them to do this because they kind of led up to it the last several weeks on Raw. But the one thing they didn't do good with, the comedy purpose of this match was Santino doing this. The commentators never really played off to it, like saying, "Hey, who's that right there? It looks very familiar." So they didn't really play off that until the end of the match, and hell, they didn't even really play off at that at all. They do it where Santino wins, and pretty much, a very comedy ending way. And then, they have they had 2 people come in there and say, "Who are you?" And then Santino in a very funny way, acted like he was a woman, and he said he was Santina. So they'll probably do something with Beth Phoenix and Santino tomorrow night. Probably a pretty good comedy segment. It was, for comedy purposes, it was at least decent. Star rating wise, best maybe 1 star, and that's, it's just one of those matches that was there for an attraction. That was pretty much all that was for. It's not really intended to be a great match. Then the next matchup was the Chris Jericho versus Legends 3-on-1 handicap match. Chris Jericho taking on the Legends of Roddy Piper, Jimmy Snuka, and Ricky Steamboat. And I gotta say, a lot of people, especially me, thought this match was going to be terrible. I thought this match was going to be god-awful. I thought it was going to be something that was going to be a waste of time being on here. But actually, it really surprised me. It was not as bad as what I thought it was going to be. Piper actually got in there and did some decent stuff. Snuka, Snuka obviously you knew he wasn't going to do much at all. But I gotta say, the one thing that really made this match good was Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat came in there and let it all hang out. He did a great job in this match, especially since he hasn't really been in the ring that much, especially, since about 15 years actually in an official match, unless you count, the stuff that Ricky Steamboat did with CM Punk in Ring of Honor. Other than that, that he hasn't really done much. So it was very good to see Ricky Steamboat in the ring. Him and Jericho did some very good stuff. You saw, great Ricky the Dragon Steamboat arm drags. He did very good in this match, and the way this was, Chris Jericho had to eliminate all three of them by pinning all of them, and the way they would win is just pin Jericho. Anyone could pin Jericho. And this is the way the eliminations went. I gotta say, before I get to that, Chris Jericho did win this match. Let me just lead up to how the eliminations happened. The first elimination was Jimmy Snuka. Jimmy Snuka tapped out of the walls of Jericho. Then Jericho pinned Roddy Piper. Then it ended with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Jericho at the end of the match. Very good back and forth stuff between them. Really enjoyed it. And Chris Jericho finally eliminated him. And then Jericho ended up winning the match. About 2 3/4 star match. A whole lot better than probably a lot of people were expecting it was going to be. Then after the match, Ric Flair gets in the ring. Ric Flair and Jericho go back and forth for a little bit. And then Ric Flair gets hit with a code breaker from Jericho. Then after this, Jericho gets on the mic, pretty much gloating. He's laid out all these legends. Obviously, Mickey Rourke was in the crowd. And then Mickey Rourke got in the ring, saw them, kind of, go back and forth, looking like they're, kind of like in a boxing stance. And Mickey Rourke ended up knocking out Jericho, probably like everyone was expecting to see. I was hoping to see something maybe with Austin coming out here and stunning Jericho, but unfortunately they didn't do that. I think that would have maybe paid off a little better, but obviously, with this Mickey Rourke getting involved, this is obviously going to get WWE a lot of mainstream media coverage, especially, probably already, obviously a lot of media coverage on, like Good Morning America, the Today Show, and a lot of other stuff tomorrow. So it's at least worth it in WWE's eyes because it's obviously going to get their name out there and get their, and obviously, help them out, maybe having a big ratings for tomorrow night. So I see WWE's point why they would do it, and they've always done this type of stuff with celebrities at WrestleMania, so that didn't really have no problem with it. And Jericho really did a very good job in this match. He made a match that was going to look like a pile of shit into something that was actually pretty much, I would say, even more than watchable. Like I said, I gave it 2 3/4 stars. I pretty much really enjoyed the match, especially the stuff with Jericho and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Then the next matchup was the brother versus brother match, Extreme Rules match, Matt versus Jeff Hardy. And this was pretty good. It wasn't a great match, but it wasn't a terrible match either. At the beginning of the match, Matt Hardy had pretty much a good amount of offense. Jeff Hardy went for the Whisper in the Wind, and Matt Hardy hit him with a chair while he was going for it, so that looked pretty sick. And the end of this match was they had 2 ladders placed up. Well, actually, before that, they did a spot with a table outside the ring where Matt Hardy was placed on one table and a table was above it. Then Jeff Hardy did a dive through it. That was pretty good. Then, like I said, at the end of the match, they had 2 ladders placed side by side. Jeff Hardy did his typical thing where he does the jumps over one and does the leg drop. Matt Hardy moves out the way. Then the end of the match comes when Matt Hardy has a steel chair draped around Jeff Hardy's neck and hits the Twist of the Fate. And Matt Hardy wins the match. Pretty solid match. I would give it about 3 stars. Yeah, 3 stars. I thought it was pretty solid. Then after this, you had the JBL versus Rey Mysterio match. And the good thing was this was very, very short. And this was what happened. This is pretty much how quick the match was. It's before the match started, JBL kicked Rey Mysterio. Then when the match started, Rey Mysterio just had a complete amount of offense. Hit the 619, then hit a frog splash onto splash onto JBL. Won the IC title in 21 seconds. It was a good way to do it because obviously if this would have been like a 5 to 10 minute match, it would have been completely terrible. So I think they did the good thing they could have done. Give the title to Rey Mysterio. Hopefully they do something with Rey Mysterio having a good reign as IC champion and actually try to make that title mean something once again. Maybe, a feud with Evan Bourne, that would be very good. Maybe, if when Low Key finally gets on TV, maybe do that rumored feud Low-Key versus Rey Mysterio. That would be very good. So hopefully they do something to make the IC title mean something good. Then after the match, JBL gets on the mic, all pissed off, and he says he quit. So that's the way they pretty much did this. Instead of him walking out, staying as IC champion, they just had him quit. So I don't know if this is just going to mean he's off of TV and he's just going to be doing stuff behind the scenes for WWE, or they're just going to let him, you know, be forgotten for about a couple months, then come back maybe in the announcer booth, or maybe, you know, already just come back in the announcer's booth on SmackDown since Taz is no longer with WWE. And, you know, since that was only 21 seconds, can't really give that a star rating, so that's like one of those matches, you know, not available for star ratings. Then the next matchup was the match I know everyone was looking forward to, which was the Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker match. And this was very good, I gotta say, definitely the match of the night. Excellent stuff between these two. It was about probably a little under or just about 30 minutes. They did a lot of good back and forth stuff. Really enjoyed it. You saw a lot of good false finishes in this match, and just one of those matches that you just have to see for yourself. It was very good. And the way the match ends was Shawn Michaels was going for a moonsault onto Undertaker. Undertaker caught him with a tombstone, and Undertaker is still undefeated at WrestleMania, so 17-0 for Undertaker. And that was the second tombstone within this match. The first, Shawn Michaels did kick out on one tombstone before that, so Undertaker had to hit 2 tombstones to defeat Shawn Michaels in a very good match. Definitely one of WWE's best matches, of the year so far. 4 1/4 stars. Really enjoyed it. Then up next, you had the first of the title matches, which I thought they probably should have, you know, put the Undertaker and Shawn match right before the last title match instead of, you know, 2 title matches back to back. That's pretty much the only gripe I really have that much about this show, since not that many people were really looking forward to the triple threat. But I guess, you know, Triple H and Orton, the way their feud's been going, they kind of wanted to, you know, have a match in between to kind of cool it down instead of having to go on after Undertaker and Shawn. So I guess it kind of made sense. And the triple threat was Big Show versus Edge versus John Cena. Triple threat match for the WWE title. And this triple threat I didn't really like that much at all. The way the match ends, because really not that much happened in this match at all. It's kind of a boring match for a title match. It would have been much better if they would have just had John Cena and Edge in a one-on-one match. Big Show really kind of hurt this match being involved in here. Not that much of a fan of Big Show at all. And really not that much of a fan of that many big man wrestlers, probably other than like Vader, and as far as character-wise, Yokozuna, because that was at least good for character-wise. He wasn't a great worker, but it worked for the gimmick he was doing, especially with, you know, he did pretty good with that character. And then those are pretty much the only big man I really like. But I really didn't like this match at all. The match ends. Big Show and Edge are on top of John Cena. John Cena does kind of like a double FU somewhat. He goes for that. Then the end of the match, you know, Edge gets hit with the FU first, or as now I might call, you know, the Attitude Adjuster or Adjustment. Pretty much, I think it's the Attitude Adjuster. And then he hit it to Big Show. And then he hit it to Big Show first. Then he hit it to Edge. And he pins Big Show, and pretty much like everyone expected, Big Show was in there to do the job. John Cena is the new WWE champion, which, not the new WWE, the new world champion. And I think it's, you know, a good thing for him to win the title back. I wouldn't have minded Edge walking out, but the last thing I wanted to see is Big Show winning. And hopefully they do something with maybe giving John Cena a good, you know, 6 to 8 month title reign or something to make this title seem prestigious, because they really need to do that with this title and the WWE title as well. And not that good of a triple threat. Pretty, you know, piss poor, you know, piss poor title match for WrestleMania. I would say, you know, 2.5 stars at best, and that's probably being a little generous. Then you had the main event, which was the Randy Orton versus Triple H match for the WWE title. And this was pretty much not like a wrestling match like pretty much no one was expecting anyway. It was more or less a brawl. Pretty good one. Started off a little slow and methodical, then, you know, kind of picked up a little bit. And I know one thing the people are going to hate that happened in this match was Triple H did retain the title. and Orton didn't beat him. I know that's probably one thing that a lot of people were hoping to see, but I gotta say, I'm one of those people that, I did not want to see something like, a Stephanie turn or a Vince McMahon or Shane McMahon turn. So that's the one thing I didn't mind, is I didn't want to see the show end with a McMahon turning. Not saying it would have been something terrible, but just one of those things I didn't want to see. So that's the one good thing you got out of the main event. But it was pretty solid stuff in there. You saw them go good back and forth. Wasn't an excellent match. I would say their stuff they did probably last year after the first two people, JBL and Cena, got eliminated. That was probably the best work as far as in the ring they did against each other. But this was a okay, brawl. It wasn't a great, main event. It would have been great to see, Shawn Michaels and Undertaker maybe main event it, because that's obviously the match that everyone was waiting to see, and the match that obviously stole the show, and really enjoyed that match. But as far as the title match, it was good, solid stuff. I would give it about 3 1/4, maybe 3.5 stars. But overall, I would definitely tell people to check out WrestleMania. It was a pretty good show. Wasn't as good as last year's WrestleMania, but still a good overall show. You saw Undertaker and Shawn have a great match. Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy had a good match. I felt if they would have maybe went a little longer, it could have been a great match. And the title match is the only thing that weren't that great. Triple Threat was watchable maybe. The main event was okay, but it wasn't a main event you're going to be really talking about, tomorrow. People are pretty much going to be talking about Undertaker and Shawn. And I like seeing, with me being a huge CM Punk fan, I'm glad he won the Money in the Bank. Hopefully he cashes it in, wins the title, and actually they give him a good title reign this time. Overall, I'll give this WrestleMania 8 out of 10. I would definitely say check it out, and it's a very good overall show. And yeah, that's it for my WrestleMania 25 review. All right, peace.